Hi everyone, this is Sarfraz from Aristotle Prep, and we are looking at question 77 from the OG 13 Critical Reasoning chapter. So the stimulus says, a recent report determined that although only 3% of drivers on Maryland highways equipped their vehicles with radar detectors, so only 3% of drivers equip their cars with radar detectors. 33% of all vehicles ticketed for exceeding the speed limit were equipped with them. So, say out of 100, only 3 cars have radar detectors, but out of 100 cars which were fined for speeding, 33 had radar detectors. From which one can infer that the same car must be ticketed more than once, must be getting ticketed more than once. When I say the same car, I mean the cars with radar detectors, because there's only 3 of them out of 100, but yet they are getting 33 of the 100 tickets. So then the same car must be getting ticketed more than once. That's an inference I have made. So okay, I'll read on now. Clearly, drivers who equip their vehicles with radar detectors are more likely to exceed the speed limit regularly than are drivers who do not. Okay, then the conclusion comes, which is the last sentence that we just read. Now, this is a very difficult argument, and what makes it difficult is that the entire argument hinges on one word which is there in the conclusion, and the word is regularly. You see, the conclusion says drivers who equip their vehicles with radar detectors are more likely to exceed the speed limit regularly than drivers who do not. See, the evidence that's given to us definitely shows that, at least in this case, when the report was made, those people were exceeding the speed limit more than once. When I say those people, I mean people with radar detectors. They definitely exceeded the speed limit more than one time. However, from this one behavior, can we generalize that this is the regular way in which they behave? That is basically the crux of this argument. So the assumption is that what has been observed is actually something which holds true all the time. It is the regular behavior of these people who have radar detectors in the car that they regularly, overspeed. So that will be the assumption in the argument, that what has been observed in this particular case, or in case of this particular report, is not an aberration, it's a regular occurrence. Only then can you conclude what you are concluding, that these people regularly exceed the speed limit. So that is the assumption in the argument, and with that thought process, we will look at the options. A says, drivers who equip their vehicles with radar detectors are less likely to be ticketed for exceeding the speed limit than are drivers who do not. But data clearly shows that this was not the case. In fact, the opposite happened. So, not correct. B says, drivers who are ticketed for exceeding the speed limit are more likely to exceed the speed limit regularly, that's the key word, than are drivers who are not ticketed. That regular behavior, regularly is the key word. B should be the answer to this question. C says, the number of vehicles that were ticketed for exceeding the speed limit was greater than the number of vehicles that were equipped with radar detectors. That may be an inference, though I'm not sure if it will be a correct inference, but if anything, it is an inference. It is not the assumption by any stretch. D says, many of the vehicles that were ticketed for exceeding the speed limit were ticketed more than once in the time period covered by the report. Now, this is a very popular answer. And if you remember, when I read the argument, when I read the first two sentences, rather the first sentence itself, I had inferred that the same car must be getting ticketed more than once. Talking about cars with radar detectors. But that was an inference, not the assumption. So D, which is what most students go with, D is actually an inference in the argument. You can infer this from the information given, but this is not something which has to be true for the conclusion to be true that these people behave in this manner regularly. So that is the problem with D. In a lot of questions, I have seen students confuse assumption with inference. But they are very, very different, as I've explained in the CR Grail also. They are actually at opposite ends of an argument. So D is eliminated because D is an inference from the stimulus. E says, drivers on Maryland highways exceeded the speed limit more often than did drivers on other state highways. We have no idea about other state highways. So B is the answer to this question. As I said, it's a very difficult question. Definitely on a difficulty scale of 1 to 5, I would give this one a 5. It is that difficult. Um One, because it's difficult to understand the argument itself and the word regularly, how important it is. People often overlook that. And the second is options such as option D, which makes it very, very confusing for students to go with the correct answer. So, a high difficulty question for sure. Have a nice day.